hi, I'm Zach. That's Dan. Welcome to the studio. The All-American Rejects.
Yo.
Hello. Hello.
Hey. This is exciting.
Yeah.
Is it weird to do press together after many, many moons? Or is this like picking it up where you left
Kind of like
off?
riding a bike. This is the first time we've done like a little press tour in a very long time, but this one's on our own dime, and we're excited to be here, so it feels good.
Yeah, and all the pee breaks, I just go like, it's so fucking weird. Like, it's sort of like a
more
pee,
pee breaks
it's a pee
nowadays,
thought,
yeah.
like so
Talking to
bizarre.
yourself.
Like, no, I'm talking to anybody else who's peeing next to me. No, it's this process is interesting now because this has become almost more important than the actual thing that we do. The visibility of the words like brand now are used and
Buzzwords.
narrative are used before music, which is kind of disheartening, but also like whatever. I mean, we're out here and we're still doing it, so we play ball. But yeah, it's definitely not like the early 2000s in that regard, I guess.
Can we talk about the change? Like, because music is more democratized now than ever, right? Like,
Sure.
when you guys, and generational shaping music, point fucking blank period. Do you think of your catalog in that way at all? Do you understand its impact? Like,
No,
how
I
do you see
mean,
it?
No.
if anything, like last summer was a first glimpse. Like we did this tour called the Wet Hot All-American Summer Tour with Newfound Glory and Motion City Soundtrack, and we were doing these sheds, these amphitheaters, and we had very low expectations. We were really kind of like, okay, doing this tour is either going to be the tour that breaks us up, or maybe we can just scrape by and feel like we have our dignity. And it blew our minds. Like the first show was in Tampa. It was a shit show. Like we played 45 minutes because the stage was so behind. And in that 45 minutes, like I remember walking out, looking at the guys, and I just started crying. I was like, what is happening? Like it was like a spiritual awakening for this band in so many ways because, yeah, man, we'd been out of touch for over a decade, and we have always been so hermity that we have never really calculated, oh, what has our music done for anyone? It's always been something that we've kind of, someone's like, hey, man, I really like your song. It's like, oh, man, that's cool. Like, you don't really, like, take it as this collective. We never have had an audience that sort of delivered this collective appreciation like it did last summer. And we were just humbled. And, yeah, it's kind of what the whole reason, like, why we're even sitting in front of you today, man.
And we're talking about like 15 years later. It's been 12 years since the last album.
Yeah.
So it's hard. Like, you can only understand like what a timeless song is with time.
Sure.
Right?
It checks out.
And when you get up on stage, in that moment, there's validation there.
Absolutely. Yeah, humbling validation. And honestly, like, encouragement. Like, artists we hate ourselves. Like, historically, we use art to escape. We use music to escape these troubled feelings that we can find some sort of catharsis in this exercise, right? If we're lucky that on a good day that happens. So yeah, to have that sort of acceptance, especially being the fucking Rejects, which has been this moniker that has proven itself over time. Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah.
You talked about being hermity. What bred that?
Well, we're from Oklahoma, so there's already like an insulation there.
Yeah. And I don't know. I think I was 17 when Nick and I got signed and Swing Swing came out. And there's two ways that story goes, right? There's you go to LA and then all of a sudden somebody like puts some shit in front of you and then you become like a sad statistic, or you have people that are around you that protect you, which luckily everybody we hired to work for this band when we started, we pulled them out of college and said, hey, learn to tune guitars. And they kept the bad, sort of people away from us. So honestly, I credit to the fact that we are from Oklahoma and that we weren't like from some large major city where we were, where everybody was telling us how fucking great we were or something like that to inflate our egos to this horrible, you know, terrible ending or something.
Yeah, just bringing our friends out kind of did help keep us grounded.
Sure.
And I think, you know, like Mike said, we're from Oklahoma, and like we didn't have, you know, I wasn't allowed to play video games as a kid. Like it was just music and this band. So like we just hung out with each other. And I think that turned into hanging out on the bus. And then when we went home, which was very few and far between, it would be, I would just stay home, not do anything.
It's really interesting. Like, you credit the people around you for saving your life. Does that motivate or fuel this idea that the band will never break up because of what it means to so many people? Like, really, the thing that could have, like, you're right. Like, people come and, like, become huge superstars and they're tempted with the world, right? If the right people aren't around them.
Like historically it goes, band gets big, singer does a solo record, band dies, right? Like that's sort of like the trope of it all. I think, you know, we've always agreed that this band is the one thing we all can agree on. And I think that's been like this powerful common, like, I don't know, thing that has kept us grounded in always sort of honoring this and keeping it sacred and not washing it out with bad new music or like, you know, seeing some moment that we could take advantage of with our audience and like go, cool, we're going to shit out a record with a bunch of features and just, you know, fucking cash in and shake the purse strings.
It's a little self-sacrificing too. I think, you know, granted, we all have like, you know, personal lives and stuff, but like I think to do this, like you have to make it your priority. And I think we're all the type of people to make this a priority.
Do you become better members of All American Rejects, being allowed to do your own, like, make your own music outside with other bands? Because you do, like, right?
I mean,
Two of you have
certainly
bands.
helped us grow, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, to me, I feel like the hiatus we took was like so necessary after 12 years solid of staying in a time capsule, like, you know, working on this major label archetype of record tour, record tour, record tour. The greatest gift I think that was given to us was the fact that we learned that we were allowed to put it down after our fourth record and discover who we were as adults because we were like, you know, the road is a adolescent child and you stay frozen in that.
It's true.
Like everyone's a pirate. Everyone, the humor on roads, you know, like I think about Blink-182's live show and I think that is like the epitome of backstage roadie humor. Like it's very immature and childish and it keeps you young. It's like Peter Pan. It's like you imagine that's what Never Never Land was like, you know. And it is. It's beautiful in that regard because it's naive, it's pure, and but it can keep you locked in the moment you were sort of inducted into it. It's
weird because then you really don't grow. Like you could become great at one thing, performing live, but you really don't end up getting life experience or anything else that would fuel.
Yeah, I mean, you see all these huge old rock stars and their children. You know,
to be guided everywhere.
Yeah, man, they're 60-year-old children, and it's crazy, but it's also like it comes with it, you know.
What really fueled the hiatus? I mean, that's a part of it, right? But when do you realize that like you can fall into that trap? Or, I mean, what was it?
It was burnout, I think. We did, 16 months of touring on that fourth record? Yeah. Just because someone told us we needed to, not because we were, you know, thinking about, oh, maybe we don't need to tour this so hard. We don't necessarily have sort of any momentum at radio at the time for that record. Maybe we should have like not done that because it ultimately ended. I remember we were in like Mobile, Alabama, and I was talking to Nick in the parking lot of some, you know, Mobile, Alabama show. And I was like, I can't do this anymore, man. Like as far as like these writing trips, like I was just already thinking about what we sacrificed to get that fourth record. It kind of was a bit of a joy destroyer for me, even through the recording process, even though I really loved that record. But I remember at the end of that touring, I was like, man, Nick, I can't go do another writing trip and like pretend we're gonna do this again right away. Like this sucks. And I think that definitely probably helped fuel the surrender, to just give it a break and to grow. I think that's what it was. It's really just like we had no life experience outside of this band as adults, and we did that. We gave that to ourselves.
You gave yourself something that, like, did you ever really imagine that it could be what it is? Like, did you dream it? Did you feel it? Did you see it? Like, what it's become? Or did it really surprise you along the way?
I mean, it's one of those things. It sounds kind of shitty to answer this way, but like I had no other choice. Like, I always saw it going like this. I never thought I'd be so lucky, but like it had to go like this. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, there's nothing else.
Yeah.
But like, you can still have that. I mean, I get it. Like, you need that motivation to succeed. But like, you've had many, many records that are fucking massive.
I think when we were younger, we were more naive and were able to manifest something like this. Now I think I would second guess myself and overthink it and all that. So fortunately, we're in this position where hopefully we don't overthink the next thing.
But like, that's something that, like, tap harder into that, because like there is blind confidence and naivete that comes with age, that you can just make decisions because you don't understand like what the ripple effect could ever be.
Totally.
Is there a decision like that stuck out to you that you made solely because of where you were at in your age? Maybe creatively that ended up paying off?
Well, what's great about the first record is you got no other music in front of you. They always say you spend your whole life writing your first record. So I think that definitely was great because we didn't have anything to second guess. We were signed because of the music we made. So it was like, oh, great. So we get to do this, like, and somebody's going to spend $17,000 recording our first record? Holy shit. New York City? Let's go. Beyond that, I don't know. What do you guys, you have anything to add to that question?
And by the way, like, the story around that is crazy. Like, an intern just fished your demo out of a trash can, right?
Yeah, who happened to be the label president's niece? Sister-in-law, forgive me.
And they grab you for the one album that birthed Swing Swing.
Yeah.
Would you say that song changed your life?
Absolutely.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
That's really the only one that I could say did. The rest of them were such a blur because we were touring through all those other records. Swing Swing was like, there had to be a reason to be warranted, to be wanted. And that was great because, yeah, I always look at Swing Swing as like, I have all these sort of memories of, oh my God, the first time it was played on MTV, we rented out a bowling alley and put it, it was like All Things Rock or something on a countdown, and all these great memories that were just bizarre in retrospect, but also like, wow, that like really happened.
It gave us all our firsts. First time hearing us on the radio, first video, first, trip outside of the United States.
How many records did you write before you got that one?
I mean, as this band,
like how many songs? Not like full bodies of work. Like, how
we
many
got
songs?
signed off of 5 songs.
Got it. And that's all you ever
Swing
wrote.
Swing wasn't on.
Swing Swing is not one of those. Yeah.
So we wrote 11 songs.
Total.
And those 11 are the first record.
Yeah.
And you never even tried to write songs previous?
We were in bands.
Yeah, we were all in
Garage bands.
various bands, yeah.
But Nick and I, no, that was like, those were the 11 songs we wrote. And then, and then luckily Mike and Chris liked them too. and we're like, you want to do this with us? They're like, fuck yeah, why not?
And I mean, surprise at all, or did you know?
That like what would
Pace
happen
was
would
going-
I
yeah.
mean, no. We've talked about how, the whole time. I mean, I even think even through the first few records, we were all like, well, this could end at any time. Like it was never that confidence of like it goes on. We always, and maybe that's the Oklahoma in us. We're practical and like, we knew how lucky we are and how easily it could go away. So yeah, it was definitely what we all wanted to do and strove to do. Strove.
I like strove. Past tense.
Just paying my bills, playing music was mind blowing to me.
Yeah.
At that age.
But speaking of blind confidence, I just found out today 3 of us dropped out of college to do this, and 1 of us didn't go to college to do this. So, I mean, yeah, that's blind confidence right there.
Yeah,
With
dumb
those-
luck. I think that's what they call it.
So, okay, can we like go through a couple hits? Because I want to understand like you wrote the other ones while you were touring, but people have come in here and they've talked about how they have written some of the biggest songs in the world, and everybody has a different story. But a through line to a lot of the people's tales are They feel like something's just like beaming through them from the fucking universe, right? Like something above just sends them a song.
Yeah.
Does any of that ring true to any of the songs that have shaped literally generations through video games and movies and radio and everything?
Yeah, every one of them. Especially in retrospect, like I think about when we were on my grandmother's porch swing and I woke up with my first little childhood hangover because Nick and I were on this riding trip at my grandparents' sort of lake trailer house. And that song fell out on that porch on a swing. And I guess I didn't really regard it at the time, but it came out. It came through me. I like to, I think that's a really good way to sort of feel about music. I say I'm terrible as a musician. I can barely play anything, but I can get around on a bass. But every time a song comes through me or starts through me, yeah, it feels like supernatural. It's Kurt Vonnegut has a quote of, "The only proof he needed of God was music," and I think like about shows, this non-denominational congregation that all agree on something that has nothing to do with politics or religion or anything. It's really just, it's a belief system that really doesn't have a lot of prejudice. It's just, I either like this band or I don't. That's kind of supernatural in itself.
Totally.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It's a bunch of people who feel understood by these stories that you're sharing. That's powerful. It's a bunch of people who outside of that room feel like rejects, but there don't.
Yeah, no, it's cool. It's, yeah, very humbling.
The story behind It Ends Tonight, same thing or?
What story have you heard?
No, I've actually heard nothing. I just listened to the song like 4 times today and I forgot how much I fucking love it.
Yeah, It Ends Tonight, we were in this hotel in Atlanta. Really, It Ends Tonight, Move Along, and Dirty Little Secret all came in like a 3-week time span.
And like Swing Swing, they were the last songs written for the album.
And my roommate in this $38 a night hotel called the Highland Inn, which has probably become some gentrified boutique hotel
times,
now.
though.
I Google mapped it the other day.
It's like
and
20.
It's now like boutique apartments.
Great. There was a guy who was staying with us who he was our guitar tech.
He was our friend who tuned guitars. Yeah.
Yep. He was driving me crazy with his misery, and that song kind of came out of me in this frustration with him having to be his roommate for 8 weeks. And everybody's like, I remember when we were doing press or something, I would tell the story. I was like, yeah, this is about this guy. And everybody's like, don't say it's about a guy. I was like, but that's like what the story's about.
It is not a breakup song.
No.
Say that
No,
much.
it's about wanting to kill somebody you're with in a fucking apartment. But yeah, no,
Are you writing it in the apartment?
Yeah. It was written between this apartment and this rehearsal space that we were at for just a nauseating amount of time, hammering out the same songs every day, over and over, until new ones would arrive. And they did. Thank God.
What was that process? Why were you hammering out the same songs over and over again?
We'd been writing for the better part of a year. After our first touring our first record, we just went home, didn't play shows. We just wrote songs. And I think it got to a point where we just needed to shake things up, or our manager and our A&R guy thought we needed to shake things up. So for some reason, we thought it was a great idea to go to Atlanta and live in this $38 a night hotel and go to this fucking plywood box and rehearse the songs that we had already written, like, 10, 15 songs, whatever. No really intention to write more necessarily. We just thought we were rehearsing to record a new record. But really what everybody was waiting for was us to write a single.
Yeah.
To then, okay, we'll pay for you to make another album.
So they're going to make you play your songs over and over again until you realize that you don't have a hit on it. And then
That was the gist.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
that's what it's giving.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was. In retrospect, I mean, even at the time, I remember I gave myself hives down the back of my legs with stress. Like we were in dire straits, but we just put ourselves in this. For some reason, suffering has been like this catalyst Like we've always thrown ourselves in these things that were like, uncomfortable. Like you're not going to have a nice place. You're not going to, you're going to budget yourself to where you basically feel like ramen noodles are just around the corner. And in that misery, maybe we'll find something. And yeah, that was the fruit that we found, I guess, those 3 songs at the end of it.
I mean, pretty good. We're still eating from them, eh?
Yeah.
It worked.
Yeah, fucking Dirty Little Secret's paying some bills.
Yeah, keeping the light on.
Yeah, that shit's crazy.
Yeah, it's wild.
Can you tell me the story behind that one exactly? Like, were you in that wood box or?
Dirty was like, it was written as like this really weird ass kind of country acoustic song. Like it was like, it used to swing like ding 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 ding. No shit. That's how Nick translated it, because he wrote the opening riff, and that was the riff.
We were trying to shit out songs real fast, so there was just an acoustic guitar and a vocal, and so the way I strummed it just made it sound like a shitty Tom Petty B-side.
And then when we got in Atlanta, we just put it on the floor. Chris straightened it out. We're like, let's just play this as straight as possible to see what this feels like as a rock sort of like interpolation or something. And then it worked. It was just like that easy. But yeah, it started out with me laying on the floor of my of the place we were living down in Florida, and I was like chasing my girlfriend at the time around, like singing that chorus to her. It was like just that little hook. And I was like, Nick's like, you got anything? And I was like, I don't know. I wrote this. This is stupid. And that's how like Gives You Hell was written too. We were like drunk on the top of a Vancouver high-rise on a writing trip and trying not to go mad, finding songs, and this was just an afterthought kind of thing where I was on some bouncy sort of, it wasn't a whirly, but it kind of, maybe like a Rhodes kind of thing. And the chorus for Gives You Hell was there. I was like, well, this is stupid. And Nick's like, well, let's just fucking write this. And and we wrote it, and by the end of the night we were doing gang vocals over the demo, the same way it was sort of recorded. And I remember we took it down to LA to show our A&R guy, whatever we'd come up with that week, and we were like, and then there's this one.
Wait. Play that again.
And it was like that. It was like that, the ears peeled back, and he was like, he had a smile, which this is like Eeyore. Like, and him smiling was like, oh, we made Dad happy. Like that was this relationship we had with him because we were so young, and he was like, older. And so it was like, it was always about this fatherly approval at the label. Like, oh, does Dad like it? Yeah, he does. Okay, great. Maybe we got something.
You said that song almost didn't make the album, right?
I mean, both of the songs we just mentioned, and then the first single off our last record almost didn't make the album either. We always take them seriously. They're not throwaways, but I think the amount of attention they get while they're being written, like Gives You Hell or Dirty Little Secret, like it was just another song at the time. Mm-hmm. And then we eventually ended up, being scared of it, or just being like, this one isn't worth approaching in the studio and spending a bunch of money and time on. But it turns out, I'm glad we did.
Yeah. Jimmy Iovine's son loved it. Like that was like where we were like, because weren't we like fighting over like we can't put the song out first, and it was like, and Jeff's like, Jimmy's like son loves this fucking song, and so Jimmy loves it. I'm like, okay, cool. They're gonna spend money on us. That's great. Thanks, Dad.
And it becomes a generationally defining hit.
Alakazam.
You keep saying that. It's crazy.
I know.
Making me feel really good.
But no,
about
you're
really
but I
pumping up
just,
the couch, man.
But I think there's
things
like
gonna float away.
I think there's 3 of them. Like I mean, even maybe 4. Like I don't know. There's something about that Y2K pop punk aesthetic where like only so many people were able to like break through and like grab onto something mainstream, and then like not only do it like once, but do it numerous times over. I don't know. It's like there's not a ton. Like your community is very, very narrow. Am I wrong in that?
No, I wouldn't say so at all. Did you guys ever feel like you were being accused of like selling out because of how big you guys were getting?
We were always bastards in the scene, man.
Yeah.
You know, when I remember when we came out with Swing Swing, it was only pop rock that was around. Emo had yet to be sort of coined in a real way outside of like, you know, I don't know, within like way more indie realms. And then emo came, and then we were emo. Like, we've always been these fringe bands, but we were the only ones that, like, you know, aside from a couple had, you know, a couple hits, but we had, like, you know, we had a couple on each record we made. And so that, I think, made us, you know, when we played Warped Tour, we were the band that was on the radio. So it was always like we were never really welcomed into that brethren. But then after sort of playing it 10 times, then I guess we were kind of accepted. But even then, like, we played the last Warped Tour show. Even that show, I was like, well, the fucking rejects out here, man, all the way. It's been something that we've earned, I guess, with time.
Fortunately, you know, at least for me and Tyson, like, we came from a small town that didn't really have a music scene. So there wasn't a lot of, like, it's not like we abandoned a scene or anything like that. We just got to leave our hometown, thank Christ. I mean, what about you guys? Because there was more of like an actual scene where y'all grew up.
We're in Oklahoma?
We're like Oklahoma City area. There's Stillwater, just like college town. But I think, I don't know, for us, I think it was more, there was this shared excitement of, oh my God, someone's doing something, you know, and getting out of town, you know? So, you know, I think on a local sense, I think we got the support, you know, of being like, oh, hometown boys make good.
Hell yeah.
Well, why are we making music now, and why is a cover like, why are we re-emerging for a cover? What's the purpose and motivation?
Well,
That's a good question.
After that tour that Ty was talking about last summer, that was just blew our minds. We had no idea there would be that much excitement around our band, both from the crowd and from us too. You know, I was saying earlier today, it feels like just baby steps. Like, we did the tour. It feels great. Okay, cool. What's next? Let's try going back in the studio. Low stakes. Let's do this cover song, a song that we all love and we all thought would be really fun to approach. And we're not, you know, we don't really do covers. So this was an experiment all around.
Yeah, I think it was just a beta for us to see what it's like doing this on our own steam. Like, we've been fostered by, you know, tin hands our whole life, and now it's we get to make our own decisions. Wow. So we, you know, this song was the idea to approach the song was purely just to do it, to see if we could find a flow within the studio environment again together without having to criticize a written song that was internally realized.
Low stakes.
Absolutely.
And also just like, we trusted ourselves to follow through on the idea. We trusted ourselves to go into the studio and produce this ourselves. And it's coming out. Like, this is, we've had a lot of whims and a lot of things that we've tried to do over the last 10 years or so. But this is the first time, like, we all just fucking showed up. And it feels really cool.
Sorry.
Go ahead. Come on. Just fucking clear your throat.
Sorry.
I just
Get some water.
Get this man a lozenge.
I would love one.
I've been waiting for you to break.
It's fucked up.
I'm like, it's gonna happen, dude. It's gonna happen.
But why'd you show up? That's what I want to know. Why did you all show up?
There's kind of just been a reinvigoration the past year or so, ever since we played that first when we were young, of like, oh shit. I mean, we have always cared about our band, but it's nice when like you see some like, oh, some people still care about us, you know, and it's just kind of, I don't know, got us excited again.
For me, it's more just about the promise that maybe there's something left to say artistically from this band, in a way that doesn't feel like we're having to turn back to a yearbook and put on that uniform that we wore in school and hope to fool an audience who's waiting with their wallets open. I feel like so many people within our genre, within music, look to cash in on a legacy.
Oh yeah.
And I think it's the most corrupt part of this business, and it seems welcome with open arms nowadays. Like, people are like, oh, just give me something. Well, it's like, well, we could do that, but there would be a self-sacrificing thing in it if we were trying to write another Move Along or go back and re-record one of our records. Like, that's awful. That's recycling yourself. That is a snake eating its tail. That is that is the corruption of music. And
So also an acceptance of like you can't really create anything else.
it's a surrender. Yeah, man.
that's-
Put the fucking flag in the ground. You're done. So for us, like we're walking into this very, very on eggshells because we don't want to fuck up what those kids did for us. That's why I always refer to our younger selves as these guys that like did something right. You know, anytime we get like, you know, like a radio check, I'll be like, I'll email Nick. I'll be like, man, thank those guys, man. What those good guys who did something right for us.
It gives me goosebumps because it is like that's. Do you see it as two separate beings, like the younger self of you and
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's funny you say that, Ty, because my therapist always says to imagine like my younger self and like, you know, always stay in tune with him and talk to him and see how he's feeling. Like, yeah, we don't want to let our younger selves down.
I feel like a cover was the right thing to do. And a cover of a record that has been around for forever but resonates with a lot of people the second you hear it. You don't know the name necessarily off the top of your head unless you're like really in it.
Yeah.
But everybody knows the record. But Dan brought up something interesting. Like you finally understand the lyrics fully in your version.
Cool.
Right?
I think it's also now that these lyrics are still so like
They matter.
evergreen. Like in 2024, the lyrics do have you hear them differently than you did when you were a kid. You thought it was this snarky sort of like, you know, upturned nose at like culture. But now it's like, you know, been around the world and found that only stupid, or wait, no. And I don't even own a TV. Like even just that, it's like, fuck, man. A lot of people don't. TVs are kind of dead. Like just all this crazy shit that when even just we were tracking, I was like, man, this thing is just so lyrically rich right now. And even Harvey Danger, I feel like this, you know, declared one-hit wonder. I think we always felt like Harvey Danger. Every record we were starting over. Our songs were bigger than our band. We didn't have the eyeliner crowd who dressed just like the band. We weren't that band. We were the fucking rejects, like through and through. Like the greatest gift that we ever gave ourselves was these songs became the pillars of our band. And so I guess it just, yeah, covering this song feels like synchronicity a lot.
And also can just reignite a record that has like deserves it.
Totally.
But also like has kind of just been laying there in the zeitgeist, like looking for a reinvention and a reimagination. And I think now more than ever, we see covers like seeping through and breaking out in culture and I don't know, fucking skyrocketing up the charts in some situations. And it's weird. It's like a cover, like the world of bringing back a cover and that cover potentially being bigger than the original is always very real. I mean, some of the biggest artists in the world have crafted fucking careers off of covering records that you didn't know were covers, you know?
Yeah, I mean, think about, was it Måneskin?
Yeah. Begging, that's
Frankie Valli.
brother. That's a. I'm gonna meta
Nobody
you out.
knows that.
No, it's a cover of a cover. So they covered Madcon's version of Beggin', which is a cover of Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons version. It's a cover of a cover.
Yeah.
Genius.
You
And
wouldn't even
that whole
know.
band is lives on that song.
Fuck
Like
yeah.
that was founded on that Eurovision moment with that. Yeah.
Isn't Michael Bolton's the same way? One of his biggest songs is a cover.
How am I supposed to live without you? Is that a
Yeah.
cover?
When a man loves a woman. Didn't
Yeah,
he say that
Yeah,
too?
when a man loves a woman, yeah.
And dude, you wouldn't know who sang the original version of that?
Bodyguard soundtrack.
Well, younger kids too. I mean, like younger kids are going to be like, "What is it?" They're not. People could hear that and not even know that we're covering it, right? I mean, that's the thing.
But who was listening to Flagpole Sitta and said, this is what we're going to do? We're going to cover this song.
We were
just-
all listening to it together.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going on a playlist night. Like, that's the thing is like this, we've never been a band to hang out with each other at the end of a night jamming out to music.
And we
Like,
don't always agree on music either. So
Most often we don't.
so the fact that we were all psyched on this song it must mean it's special.
Yeah, it was just that easy. It was like, hey, we should cover this song. Yeah, we should fucking record this song. Yeah. 3 weeks later, we did. And sometimes that's all the thought that needs to go into something to keep it pure.
I mean, when things are that easy, it's meant to be. Anything change in your creative process between like that session and your last session? that you all had together?
I mean, other than us producing it ourselves, I mean, I'd say the biggest thing that changed was just we were in a situation with the time crunch because we live in 4 different cities, so we all came together for 4 days to do this, and also just like having to trust ourselves, not having somebody there to be the objective, like, you know, outside perspective. It was just like, just make ourselves and each other happy. That was probably the biggest change.
Yeah, and I think growing pains are a part of change. Like, you know, Nick and I have always had a process historically in the 4 records we did write. It was we run away to some stolen moment in a major city or in the woods, or we'd always change environments, and we would bunker down with 4 pounds of coffee and 2 cases of wine and, you know, a half ounce of weed, and that was like, in 14 days, we would have whatever we would have.
That's a lot of numbers.
Or we wouldn't. It was a science.
Yeah.
We had a palate. Yeah. It's always the same. And now that, you know, I've grown, Nick's grown, Nick's really buried himself in producing and working in Nashville and writing with, you know, up-and-coming singer-songwriters. And I've just kind of stayed in my hermitage, like developing myself as an artist on my own, as far as just like writing songs for just me most of the time, or working with other people and trying to find growth within that collaboration instead of it just being these, you know, I don't know how long have you guys been together?
12, 13 years almost at this point.
I mean, has there ever been any moments of discomfort where you're like, man, sometimes I would just love to fucking like try a show with somebody with a different color?
Probably every day.
Oh,
yeah,
shit,
yeah, but even that conversation, but even that conversation creates something, right?
Totally.
Like even just acknowledging a discomfort can either challenge you to rise and find something new, or let somebody ask something that they weren't going to ask, or I don't know your guys' process, but
Sure.
now, you know, now that Nick and I do live in these 2 different realms, I feel more comfortable to sort of start the process on my own. And within that is a different freedom than if a guy's in the other room waiting for that process to mature, because that, you know, began for me to feel like a fuse burning. And when you hear that sizzle in your ear, how the fuck can you hear a melody? And so now it's that discomfort, it's that growth that I think feels like promise of there being something more for this band. Which, look, we're the All-American Rejects. You know, you can have whatever opinions you have, many opinions about pop rock bands, like, but what we do is art for us. Like, call it whatever you want, reduce it or inflate it to make us feel really good. It's still our art, and now I'm 40 years old, man. You think I'm gonna write music about fucking heartbreak in high school again?
That's different.
There's a world that's opened up for me, at least, having a lived experience that wasn't just this fucking band on the road, that feels like there could be something there, which to me is exciting and it's frightening, and also half the people that love this band don't fucking care to hear new music. And there's all these things are real, right?
That's an interesting perspective, because you're sitting on like, you know, 7 million plus monthly listeners, but the reality is like, what you're saying is like people just listen, they consume the back catalog.
Sure.
Numerous times a day.
Yeah. And you think about your favorite band that's long gone or that's still around and you can still see them, but like, can you name their newest song? You know, probably 9 times out of 10 you can't. But the exciting challenge, I think, that will do this service for our younger selves is, what if maybe we can find another one? What if maybe there's something else to say? That's such an exciting and fucking frightening thing that we've never got to approach before. And I think a lot of other people don't see it like that. They're like, content, music's just fucking content. Just get it out. Get it out. What's your narrative? What's your story? Did you have a personal crisis that we can talk about, that we can capitalize on?
Oh, this chorus is going to make a great TikTok.
We're going to make a comic book out of this.
You know?
I totally get it.
Like, don't you ever just feel like you're being sold something other than the music 9 times out of 10? And then when the song plays, you go, oh.
But no, what you're saying, I totally, as a music fan, I am guilty too of being like, I'm happy with the songs that, you know, band X has put out. But there's a couple that I can think of that, you know, 10 years later, they'll drop an album and I'm like, I did not see this coming. This is the best fucking thing I've heard from these guys. You know what I mean?
And are you challenging yourself to do that?
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the spirit that I'm giving you right now,
Is that?
this energy is like what is driving me to want. And I feel like the want is what leaves with success. You know, yeah, I have a roof over my head that protects my family. We get to do these shows. That's all such a blessing. I'm humbled and grateful. But the only thing that gets me out of bed is the promise that there might be something more for me in my life, besides just what was.
So
You know?
I know
Totally.
you, but I know you said no more albums. Like the Rejects have their 4 albums, but did creating this cover kind of give you guys the itch to get back in and see what's there?
That would be the next step.
Yeah. So you're going to do it.
Whether we take it is like, it's again, if it's worth taking.
Who
right?
determines that? You do.
Yeah. Well, same way we determined it when we first made an offering. I think everybody thinks that everybody writes music to share. It's like, I'm the first person that I have to impress with a song. Like, I have to be excited. And when I am, I'm, you know, you guys know, I'll fucking whip it around to you guys all and be like, I'm like, check this out, man. And I'm vibrating and I'm like, I have an energy I haven't had in 20 years when I write something that I'm proud of. And that makes me want to share. Like the sharing starts here. And then if it's good enough, it'll seep out. It's not about, oh, I can imagine this, you know, this is a hit. Like, to assess a song you wrote in your bedroom was, but this is a hit. This is a banger. Like, you know, like I feel like I see a lot of people on Instagram. It's like, check this out. This is a banger. Like, it's like, that's how, like,
Flame
that's,
emojis.
I just wrote
everything
the
is-
song of the summer.
Everything's awesome. Yeah, here's the song. Here's how I even saw like a tutorial by somebody. Here's how you put together the song of the summer. Beep, boop, beep, beep, boop. They do like a loop building and they're like, cabana, banana. And it's like, you're already putting an expectation on something. I think, you know, expectations are the killer of art.
It's true. So how do you go in without an expectation, even though you know that this is something you do for you? And really no one else. That's kind of fair, right?
Yeah. Yeah. All the new stuff, it's absolutely that. Like, maybe there was a moment where it became, let's make Dad happy with our new music. Like, and that became what killed or just smothered this band, was the fact that we had so many other people that we were trying to make happy and so many expectations that were lofty and let's get back where we were. Those things are just like so corrupt. Yeah, now it's the expectation is like, I want to make these guys excited. I want to make him happy first because he and I have had this sacred bond throughout our whole career. So if he's not feeling what I'm doing to start this, then it dies right there. And it's supposed to die right there. Like, he is a gatekeeper to whether or not we can collect ourselves to do this with any sort of excitement.
So do you have songs ready to go?
You know, there's ideas, there's sketches, there's things that are floating around, but nothing formal. I don't know, man. The excitement's there, and that's enough for me.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's where it starts.
Yeah.
Do you find yourselves comparing whatever may come to the old music and you're like, will this live up to Move Along or Swing Swing or?
Musically, no. I mean, I think, you know, like Tyson said, like, those were different guys that made those records. Like, it's been 12 years since we made a record. And we've all, you know, done so much and lived so much life since then. True, we do still play all those songs quite often, but it's kind of muscle memory at this point. I don't think those instincts are the instincts that we have today and vice versa.
And we kind of never did. From album to album, we always changed things up, much to the chagrin of some listeners. And so, yeah, I think it's just, that's what we've always just followed what's coming out at that moment and not hearkened to anything previous.
Yeah, I remember it was a Beekeeper's Daughter. You put some horns on there, right?
Goddamn right.
What was that face for?
Oh, I just think that song's a dumpster fire. Every night we play it, I'll usually, like the other night I was like, after it ended, I was like, I fucking hate that song. But you guys seem to vibe it, so you gave it a new life for me tonight. I said that the other night.
Why do you hate it?
You know, that
Kentucky loves that song.
Yeah, totally. Louisville.
Yeah.
I liked it.
How long after making a song like that, you make the whole song, you put it on an album? How long after you're like, I don't know if this is it?
I mean, that album was written in kind of this mixed desperation of we wanted to find something. It somehow everything about that record felt rushed except for the recording process. And it wasn't even really rushed. It was just like we didn't need to make a record yet, I think. I think there are some of the songs on that record I'm so proud of, but I think as a whole, when your first foot forward was Beekeeper's Daughter, I think that was enough to tell me like this thing was going to be a dead dog. Which is how I kind of look at it. But we're
it's
allowed to do
cult
that.
dead dog.
Yeah.
It's the record that sells for the most on Discogs, so yeah, that tells you everything.
Yeah, for some reason, that record's a fan favorite, but I bet the people that love that record are like, probably, I imagine Beekeeper falls towards the end of that list as far as favorite song on that record.
By the way, you can listen to all American Rejects right now. Link below on Amazon Music, plus talk to your Echo device. They know them. Are you performing barefoot now? Is that like a new thing, or?
I've done it for like a couple years now. I think I just like the idea of being able to not do anything stupid. And when your feet are on the ground and you're barefoot, like, you know, the stuff we used to do when we were kids, man, I'm paying for already. So like when I'm barefoot, I'm just jumping to and fro things. Like I'm less likely to do like an 8-foot jump across to another box that's somewhere that I should not be landing. I won't scale things now as much as I did. I still went out the crowd the other night and I was like, oh man, I'm probably going to get like some sort of foot fungus in that crowd.
Yes.
You went shoeless at Zook nightclub in Vegas with Emo Night.
Oof.
I was there and I remember you got on stage. I was like, oh, dude, you're in a Vegas club with no shoes on.
Oh, I took them off right before I got on the deck. Yeah. Oh yeah, no, there's some spilled dreams on that floor.
Yeah.
And on the other end of the spectrum, I am now performing with insoles. It's because I refuse to be one of those 40-year-old band dudes in fucking Hokas on stage. Come on.
Oh yeah, no, the dad,
Converse for life, baby.
full on dad rock.
Wearing the full uniform and you got the New Balance on. You're like, come on, man.
You're not selling it. You're just telling me your knees hurt. You can get that gray out as much as you want, but I see those shoes, motherfucker.
That's fucking funny. All American Rejects. Listen to the music. Amazon Music. Link below. What are you
guys,
thinking?
I mean, I know tattoos are forever. You guys still all of your matching tattoos?
Yeah.
Yeah, you proud of them?
Yeah, still there.
Those are big. They're big.
They're big. They were all our first tattoo.
And you said
got 'em
massive across the chest.
Yeah. We're like, let's
Perfect real estate too. I just that's there
effed
now
it up.
instead.
I've almost covered it many times. But yeah, there's something that it's old blue now.
Yep.
Yeah.
You almost covered it. If you almost covered and left these guys hanging, you'd be like, what the fuck?
I know. No, but I was like, you know, I think I was like, fuck this band in like 2013 or something. I was like, screw this, man. I don't like this at all. This is holding me back. This isn't.
It's all the tattoo, man.
Yeah, man. This is the energy is here. If I cover it with a sweet monkey, it'll be like I won. And they lost.
God, just imagine seeing like you four shirtless at the beach and people like don't know who you are. Like, who are these 4 grown men with matching chest tattoos?
Yeah.
That was the problem when we first got them.
Yeah.
Now think about that when we got
Everybody's
them.
like, do you guys have all matching Slayer tattoos? Like, for some reason, everybody read this emblem as Slayer. Yeah, no, and I was like, no, we're in a frat. It's Alpha's Regma.
It's fucking funny. Please come back when you release more music, because I know it's on the way. I can feel it.
Can you?
I can.
I like your sense.
It's in the air.
Hey, put it out there, man. Manifestation.
But for now, Flagpole Sitta is waiting for you. Link below.
2 quick questions. One, you were talking about like the 5-song EP that got you signed. Would you ever like release those 5 songs?
I think we basically have as B-sides and deluxe editions. You know, in the 2000s when like Target and Best Buy all need like exclusive B-sides.
You just threw one of them on there?
We poured out those demos, yeah.
Yeah. Oh no, I think we should. I think we should like press them or something.
We should do it in a collection at some point for sure. Yeah, because I mean that first record, like, you know, nothing. You know, not to knock Tim O'Hare, he really elevated the sonics of those songs, but like we made that first record twice. Like those demos were
verbatim.
Yeah, we just went and re-recorded those demos on in a real studio with a tape machine.
And the last one is the go-kart on the front of the original album. Does somebody have that?
Yeah, it's my
where is
my
it
dad's.
now?
It's in my dad's garage.
Oh, nice.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's still we're getting. I have a son, and he's like getting ready to put a new Briggs and Stratton on that for Vigo. Yeah.
What does that word mean?
That's like a 5 horsepower lawnmower
the engine.
that
Okay,
feels
got it.
It makes it go. Vroom, vroom.
Got it.
Yeah, and my best friend to this day, she shot that cover. It was so much fun. So much fun to. So funny when you catch an image like that and you realize that it completely embodies your entire like essence as a Oklahoma band in just a go-kart in an overgrown field.
And it was such a last second thing of like, oh shit, we need artwork.
Yeah.
Well, the artwork that was gonna go out, we hated it, and I think it might be on maybe the original Doghouse pressing, but it was just
Me and Nick
just
looking like Savage Garden.
Yeah.
I had a fucking faux hawk and like a fur-colored jacket. It was so douchey.
Well, because we shot those pictures in like January in New York City, so we're like all in puffy coats and shit.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad.
But the go-kart, iconic.
Yeah,
Way to
glad
go,
that
Dad.
happened.
And
Yeah.
it's still in use, which is cool. It's not just sitting
Oh
there
yeah,
collecting dust.
no, that thing's been flipped so many times. A lot of my family's got stitches from that thing.
Generational.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's pretty sick. Thank you guys for taking the time and hanging out. I really
Thank
appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Oh man,
man.
thank you guys so much for having us. This is really cool. I really like the way you guys run this shit.
It means a lot. Real recognizes real. So right back at you. The All American Rejects, everybody. All American Rejects. Yes. Yes.
Yay!